Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Good evening, hello, and welcome to 5.8G Alive, the second show for 2025. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, which is bringing you 5.8G Alive. And with me, as usual, my friend.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus.
Great. So, Jennifer, last week we started off and we had a bumper show. We talked about where our minds are, our mindsets that, going forward into 2025, how we look at not just this year, how we look at life, what we do.
Yeah.
And, Jennifer, we sometimes meet people and sometimes you all out there, I think we have a big impact. It seems as though people tend to think we're a bit larger than life. Because sometimes people may speak to us in terms of what we do and probably put out in the sense of a little beyond their reach, or a little beyond their capacity. And while, yes, we are pretty focused people and we set targets and we tend to work towards those targets, I think I still call myself more ordinary than extraordinary. What do you think?
Well, I would say ordinary because I really don't see myself as extraordinary. Maybe as some people may say, bold, because not everybody may be. And I say bold because we speak openly and they see it sometimes as making some bold statements, but not extraordinary. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Special. Special.
I take myself somewhere between ordinary and extraordinary. I'm not ordinary and I'm not extraordinary, but a little up on the scale. Okay, I'll take that.
I put in special. I add in special.
So, we said last week that we have lined up some guests. Really, for this year, we really want to do focus. We want to focus on where our minds are so that we focus on the here, the now. We talked about the huge changes that are coming. I mean, we look across the world, even in Trinidad, we're going to get a new prime minister. Of course, the LA with that fire, droughts. Life is going to be different economically, personally, where we are. And we thought that it's so important if you're going into a period of a lot of change, a lot of dynamism. They say in the airplane, if you're getting into trouble, put on your gas mask first. Yeah. So in a similar way, we thought that as we get into this year, we as a cohort really, really need to understand, or at least be aware of who we are. And we thought we would start with ourselves, okay? And share with you what we are calling personal anchors for life, so that you get a bit of insight into what drives us, who we are. And in that way, even if some of you will just get a morsel of information, some of you may be inspired, some of you may be downright shocked, and some of you may not believe. But Jennifer, what do you want to achieve by this series where this session where we're talking about our own personal anchors? What will people get?
For me, when you talk about personal anchors, actually, I want to piggyback, if I may say, on the recent happenings there, internationally and locally. That change, that unexpected change, let me put that, just proves that with life, we say anything can happen. And I think instead of us being so shocked at us to bring us to a stage of where we just stuck, we don't know what to do because of that shock, that these situations that happened very recently really showed that we shouldn't be shocked about anything. What we should do is start, what it had me thinking is that, what would I do in these situations? And in terms of like what happened internationally with LA and with the fires, and you see in these, and everyone, when they interview those who lost their homes, etc., and they talk about, oh, it was like a movie, we've seen it happening in front of them. They interviewed some of the residents, and when I listened to them, and they're saying that some so shocked they didn't even want to leave. They still believe that it's not that bad. But reality has set, and they now have to sit down and say, hey. And then you had those who actually, I was listening to the interview where he actually, because of the last fires that almost caused this similar type of disaster, that he spoke about, he put on normal sprinklers and he took action. And that action, although seemed that, yeah, okay, let me try something, worked in his case. And it just shows that no matter what, we should try and put things in place, but we should know why. And then locally, with the Prime Minister's announcement and choosing of a new Prime Minister, etc. And I listened to certain remarks. Of course, you ask the public what they think, and people share their opinions, and then you hear that, oh, that person don't know what they will do, and what can we do? We're still in a situation. But it comes, so all the remarks to me comes back to us. And in terms of answering your question and checking myself, I first looked within and say, hey, what can you do? And I will say, for self-help, I look at it as self-help, and looking at different aspects of my life in terms of what's happened if you lose your home. Just anybody could lose their home.
Yeah.
What happens if it may be other kind of disaster? There's some situation within the country that you don't have control of that situation, but you have control of your life.
Yeah.
What you do. So to answer your question, I'm putting my life in compartments.
Yeah. But let's get into in tune, and let's really explore how we manage the anchors of our lives. Jennifer and Terri. Yes, Jennifer, you were talking about compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
As a means of managing your personal anchor. But let's talk first about when we say the term personal anchors, what does that mean?
For me, personal anchor, when you say the term personal anchor, it's like what can I do, or what will keep me grounded? What will keep me safe? Um, what do I have to do as a buffer against certain situation, against crisis? You know? And for me so I need to identify the anchors.
Yeah.
And so I have to look at my life. So before I could identify the anchors, what I know is I need to be grounded. What I would like for safety is for me to be grounded. Grounded meaning that I have to understand my life and what are my expectations, or what could happen to cause that some turmoil in my life, right? Or crisis.
Yeah. I suppose we have, and as this discussion is, Jennifer and I are two different people, and everybody out there listening to us are different people. And I think one of the most important things when you hear the term anchor, an anchor is usually associated with a ship. And a ship travels on the ocean. It's floating. It can be affected by winds. It can be affected by currents and tides. But if a ship needs to stay in a place, stay in a port, it drops its anchor to allow it to know its position. And when I think of anchor, I get that imagery in my mind. Not that I'm floating on the ocean or anything like that, but where my anchors are the things that help to define who I am, and therefore I am in more control of how I respond to or relate to any situation, anything, whether it's positive or negative. And my anchors help me to live in a way that's consistently me. And I'm very multidimensional and all that. So it doesn't mean that I'm the same way all the time, but there'll be certain anchors, let me call them my values, let me call them the things that will define a Terri and will help Terri to know how to deal with what has happened or is happening around me, good or bad, you know? And I think for everybody listening might have a different view. You've said that your anchors are critical to your safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my view, my anchors are critical to direction. In terms of if I'm to make big decisions, I have to go into different things, even if I have to decide what I do on an ordinary blah day, staying consistent, and consistent doesn't mean stagnant, but it's something that is inside of you, inside of me, that says, okay, this is my, call it my North Star. They used to call it a North Star of navigation, But Jen, let me ask you a question before we get into ourselves. Do you think most people operate from a position of being anchored, whether it is anchored in safety or anchored so that direction is clear, or what do you think as you look at people and people interact with us and so on?
I would say no, I think people are different. So how, just as how both of us, we interpret anchors for life differently, but we have life, and we want, when you look at it, we would like our life to go in a certain direction, right? People vary, and some people, I would think, interacting with some, they remain on the surface. Therefore, you will say an anchor to you is like, it's a ship and you anchor it and it's steady. It have some people, it could be wobbly going along. They're not going to, they are afraid to do anything to steady that ship. I am talking about safety here for me and how I determine safety in the different aspects of my life. Some people, they're not interested in that. Whenever a situation happens, they're going to deal with it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So because we all have different capabilities, and you mentioned values, etc., I think it will vary. It's going to be very hard to determine, for me to determine, or look at someone or listen. Well, yes, you could listen, and in my opinion, I might say, they don't care what's going on. But it's difficult to judge because each person has their own way of operating and what they want out of life.
Yeah. Well, we hope that today, as we talk about how we anchor ourselves and how we proceed in life based on those anchors, that you understand us a little better. And I think in understanding us, then we lay a groundwork for expanding this tribe that we've put together. Because then you know what you're coming into. Not that you have to be like us, but it's the first part of connection and communication. Who are you? You know? So who you want? Yeah.
Now, I want to also say this. And why we do this, as you all know by now, we lead by example. So we open up ourselves. We are not, and we keep saying this, we are not advising, we discussing and we sharing. And we also, our goal is in sharing that, yes, some of you all out there may have that connection with, some may not. But what we will really like to is for you to come on board and share your story and open up, not feeling that, being hesitant and feel that you'll be judged. No, we would really like some more sharing and hearing from you. Yeah? So, Terri, what did you ask? Well, who want to start first?
Yes,
or what?
yes. In terms of talking about our anchors and what anchors us.
Let me go back, as I said, safety. And when I say safety, when I think of safety, not just safety in a storm or fire, you're running for shelter. Not just like that. But life, as we say, we're on a life journey, and expected, it will get pitfalls, challenges, etc. will come our way. And it is my belief for me to have anchors and be prepared. So when we talk, or when I speak about the anchors for life, is what am I going to do? How am I going to prepare myself to live the type of life I want to live? Expecting that you can get up any day and hear some news or something happen that could throw you off. But is to be prepared, okay? And for me, being anchored, being grounded, having those anchors, I come back to, when we were chatting early on, self-help. I believe I have to put down my anchors, not, I know what it is I want. I know my journey. I shouldn't wait on somebody else to come to my aid. You understand? So I would start saying, anchoring myself is looking at what can I do? I would put it under the umbrella of self-help. The things that under that heading self-help would be my anchors. I don't know if I'm clear there. So for instance, and as I mentioned before, within my life, there are compartments. It's how you put it. So this is me using this terminology of self-help and what I would do. So under my compartments or my headings, or I first look at who am I, and that is something comes up a lot with any kind of training, right? Because who am I, what I want to be, the type of life I want to live will determine what I want to do. You understand? So health, so understanding me. And to understand me, you know, we talk about mind, body, and soul. Understanding me, I need to have a clear mind to know who I am. And to do that, I keep check of the values I have, what I believe in, my belief, my spirituality, all these things that I can get up in the morning and I say, okay, that very early part of the morning is for me to clear my head and understand and reflect, etc. So with understanding me and looking out there and see what are the things that could shake those pillars, weaken them. And I look under health, because I believe if you don't have health, well, then you can't even, you have nothing to stand on, right? You need something to keep you going. So when I say that, okay, if health is one and it's not in any other priority, they come together to make me, if you could say, whole, you know, to balance me. And understanding health, I am being very realistic in terms of, you look at the stage, remember you talk of the stage, and as you age, there are certain, you know, illnesses, certain things that can happen to you because of your aging body. But also on the other hand, there's so many things you can do to prevent a lot of illnesses, etc., etc. So that's one. So the pillar one, if you're looking at pillars under health, what am I going to do? And obviously, you're looking at what all that is recommended. It's then hard to find out. You can read about it, you know, at any time. So yes, so I know what I have to do. As you know, so for me, and this is where I'm balancing. So we spoke a lot about health, and we all know what we may be prone to, etc. So I strengthen my I strengthen myself under that. So you could say there's that pillar of life. Health would be one, seeing how best I can live a healthy life. My pet, as I always talk about, would be financial, right? I am very, very, very. I want to, all these have to have a strong pillar of life for me to live this life. I need to strengthen myself when it comes to financial in such a way that I am comfortable. So for instance, and all these pillars, and I talk about safety, there is the other side. So I look at what could happen to threaten my safety under these areas. Mm-hmm. And remember, I talk about self-help. It would be, what can I do? So if that emergency or crisis comes up, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked and sit back and say, God, why me? You understand? So that takes care of the health. I really put in basically, I would say 3 pillars, or may go to 4, but these are my key. Um, the family dynamics. I am really very, very concerned and love family. I want, I will love everything go in a certain way. I know it's not possible, but I will try my best to be that person to ensure that for the best of my family. Okay. So that will entail, and everybody's different. As you said, we are all different. So what I would want for family, or what I believe I have to do to be, I think that pillar of strength.
Okay.
You understand? To do the things that would make me feel comfortable and not feel threatened. Okay? If I may add a fourth pillar, I would say faith, and that faith in the universe, faith in life, faith in the decisions I make. Of course, you start, and we spoke about spirituality up front, but that faith, because I believe if I lose that faith, then my pillars will be weak.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's come like a laying a foundation, and a laying the foundation, and I'm making sure I have it as solid. They have to be very solid. So when the fire come and the earthquake come and all these things come already. Sometimes you could never be that ready, but if you have that faith in, listen, don't care how it comes, we will bounce back. And I just going back to like where I started listening to, to the interviews with that big fire and the trend right through is like, it will bounce back, we'll build back, you have to have faith, we'll build back. Those who feel that, I didn't hear anybody actually in those interviews talk about giving up, that somewhere along the line you'll bounce back. That is because you have to believe in yourself, that belief that, hey, you laid that foundation, no matter what, I did it before, I can do it again. So that faith comes from also, as I said, that experience and belief in yourself. So let me stop there for now, Terri.
Okay.
But basically, I lay down my anchors for life, that I'm comfortable.
Definitely. You come back again, and I think how we anchor ourselves really has to do with our personalities and what has to. I am a believer that who I am drives whatever is around me, whatever situation I get into, I take out of. If I'm responsible for you, if I love you, if I care about you, how you will experience me is because of who I am. And I suppose now that I think about how I anchor myself or how I drive myself, I could understand why some people would call me. Some people say I'm intimidated, and I wonder what you're talking about. I'm such a meek, sweet person. I'm not intimidated. But as I reflect on how I anchor myself and manage myself, I make sure always at every stage of my life that I check and I recheck who I am at that stage. So the person that I was, so I write I've written over the course of my life, every 20 years, every 15 years or so, I write a eulogy and I look at the last eulogy to see, am I on my way to really bringing this thing out? And we've done vision board exercises and things like that. So I tend to be very self-centered in how I anchor myself. I interrogate myself. I ask myself, really, what do you want in life? What do you believe? What compromises am I willing to make? And based on those answers for my stage of life, how I would have answered those questions in my 20s and 30s is not how I would answer them today. I am 63 now. So I'm in the process of re-examining, I will borrow your term, pillars and the foundations to see, can these carry me forward to 70? And I was talking to my sisters recently, and we were talking about vision boards and how far forward are we looking. And one of my sisters was looking at something on a 2-year basis, and the other one had another period. And you know, I say I tend to pull out more, and I look at 5 to 7 years, depending on what is happening. And I truly believe that I know myself very well. And in knowing myself, and I want to be a healthy, active person at 70. I don't know what is going to come in between, but there's what I'm planning for. So this body has to be healthy, and I spoke about that last week. All right. And with a healthy body, it makes no sense having a healthy body and I don't know my own mind. And so, as I said last week, I have a very clear view of what my values are, how I want to operate, how I want to be in community by myself and so on. And I think anchored in that, and I have said it, God made this body. So everything I'm doing is as a result of him and to please him. So I don't put spirituality down as any separate anchor anyway. It is just in everything, and it is understood. And if you know me, you know that. But where I see it impacting Jennifer, which is where I think this conversation came up, is how I interact with the world. Because I am very, very clear about the person that I am, the kind of energy I want around me, and so on. One thing that I admire about you is, and people, you all will know it, Jennifer listens, and Jennifer would take in and understand everybody. I have a very, very short tolerance for things that will disrupt my energy. And I think that has been critical in helping me to remain very focused on huge responsibilities that I've had to carry throughout my life, you know? So I think that one of the most important anchors for me is that I have a clear North Star in terms of what's good for me, how I want to live, and for things that contribute positively or negatively to that, and keeping it out of my way. And I think that ability to look at a person or a situation and say, no, not for me, not for me. I think that is a part of how I live that has been valuable to me. And I've seen where many, many people, because they are not, for many different reasons, choose to carry along things that might not be very good for them, end up, or choose to be concerned about how a certain decision or a certain action or a certain approach to a situation, how other people may think, it causes them to make decisions that drift them off their course. you know, and my self-awareness and self-knowledge is so critical for me staying on course. And I suppose that's why I regularly look at it. And part of that looking at it process, I bring people who are close to me into it. I talk to my siblings, I talk to my children, and I ask them, am I a ridiculous jerk? What do you think? You know, they're open to feedback to see how we are, how I'm going. And I think, Jennifer, I suppose if I again were to, and I listened to you talk about safety, and I wondered whether, do I think about safety? You know, because I will barge forward, or I will say, no, I'm going there, and I'll kind of be indifferent to things. I really, really wonder, do I worry about safety? And somehow I think in understanding myself, I don't think I might bring myself to harm, but I am pretty confident that if something comes up that I'm in danger, I have the flexibility to move around. So I'm wondering if I have those kind of big ship anchor that keeps you put, or whether I have a compass with no anchor. As I'm talking, I'm realizing that.
You know, so say that when I look at safety too, I always say like, you have to put a shield around you, and that shield is really preparation plans.
Mhm.
All these different action, or how I interpret, you know, having anchors, or the anchors for life. I I rarely see an anchor as a protection. I guess my head into, I don't know if it's because my life has been one where I'm the one responsible, decision making, always really want to have to make the decision for myself and my immediate family in all aspects of life.
Mhm.
I am the one, you know, the main person to do that. That always is like kind of mother hen, like thinking of protection all the time. What can I do to avoid this situation, or if this situation happens? So I am always in that mode of protection in different ways,
Yeah.
you know.
You went into
However,
the right field.
yeah, I believe so. I definitely believe so. Because I have that insight. I feel naturally that I see myself too as a problem solver. And if people come to first solution, that I always look for, what's the solution here? How can I make this better? And if I have to do that, I better have those, I better be well anchored. You understand?
Mhm.
And again, it comes back to faith. But Terry, looking on the outside, just moving away from me,
Mhm.
and looking at the tribe on a whole, you know, there I believe, and I mentioned that I think last week in our chat, people personalities and experiences make a difference to the decision, right?
Mhm.
And many times I find in conversation, that some people don't want to go beyond a certain point in even discussion and even taking action, because, and I'm saying it so they may believe they don't have that protection, that buffer, that they're scared to go beyond, because if I do this, then I'll fall down. I don't have things in place to buffer it. So so I'm saying that because in my view, if you're not going to, and I wouldn't even call it risk taking. It's not risk taking. It's life. Certain things in life you're forced to go through even if you don't want to. And when that time comes, if you never thought about it, you don't know what to do. You're not anchored. You understand? You're not anchored. And I'm aware of that. And so in certain discussions, I could discern certain things, and I say, you know what? Something missing there. And what may be missing is not willing or not trusting yourself to go beyond. And we are this life, listen, and coming back, remember, I'm speaking about this stage in life. So you could only talk, as you say, each stage differently. I speak like this now, and I do think, I always talk about 10 years, and for me, in planning and in looking forward, I use 10 years, right? So at 60, I'm sure if you go back and hear me speak, and it's completely different, right? To now more than ever, I see the need for the anchors because I don't have the energy and the, as I say, the wherewithal to cope with the things that I used to cope with before. So I am chatting now about me and my anchors because I'm it's about safety, it's about safety. Yeah.
But Jennifer, as we speak here, and Jennifer and I talk unscripted, and you have to believe this. And I always tell people when they look at us,
I sure believe that because
we are opposite, but we are complementary. And it's amazing that we just spoke. I just talked myself into saying, I wonder if I have a compass, I'm not an anchor. You're talking about an anchor for safety. And somehow I think the thing that we may both have is elements of anchoring and elements of compassing, and also an ability to pull that anchor up when it is time to move. And that is critical, because if your anchor has been down for a long time and is stuck in mud and stuck there for good, our generation, we keep saying, we live with so much change. I mean, we as probably the only time that you could see change happening so quickly would have been during the First and Second World Wars. When the world was being destroyed by bombs physically. But now the world is being changed by natural resources, by politics, by money, by media, by powerful groups. And we may have our anchors that keep us steady and keep us sure and give us a base. But I think equally important is to have a compass. Come back to the ship analogy on that bridge that says the direction you're going in. Because, Jennifer, I think if some of our anchors, that's why I look at the person I was in my 40s, so there are similarities today, but very, very, very different person. I make decisions differently. I have more freedom now and less responsibility for other people. I am now in a stage where I am accountable for me, but I know people are looking at me for guidance, for inspiration, for safety. I'm not responsible for their safety, but they look at me for safety. And I think one of the things that I must maintain is flexibility. Flexibility to change course on a dime, knowing that things can change rapidly. A diagnosis could come, a financial crisis could come. Your whole house could burn, everything could burn down. You can imagine some people in those houses and they keep all their money in the house and they keep everything that is valuable in the house. And how do you pivot? And I want to come back locally to people here. We've had discussions where we're looking at the increased cost of living. That is a phenomenon that is worldwide. I remember for Christmas, there's a brand of juice concentrate that I purchased, and it's $32.99. Not on special, it's $32.99. Orange, a fruit punch, orange fruit punch, grapefruit, and they had some other one. And when I call those flavors, people, my beautiful fresh fruit concentrate. Jennifer was in the grocery last week and it was $49.99. We've not gone a month. And I know that that price increase is totally because of supply chain and sourcing and things like that. I was looking at another set of documentaries about food chain supplies. And because of climate change, and people might think it is a remote thing, things like rice, things like flour, coffee, dairy, milk, eggs are going to be skyrocketing in price. And if we are not aware and we don't know what we need to eat and how we need to eat, and plan for alternatives and plan for radical change, because something like, all right, if eggs become normally $60 a dozen, which is possible, and if you think of eggs being the foundation of so much of how we eat and protein source and stuff like that, if poultry goes to some astronomical price and a chicken is now $100, a rotisserie chicken could be here to that. You know, I think part of being able to adjust in a meaningful way to your environment is linked to truly understanding who you are, no matter what environment you're in. So you're not forced to make decisions because of how it looks seen, or you're not forced into guilt because I can't buy X, it means I'm not feeding my family and those who I love properly. Or you can't flex and make decisions like, well, I really have to plant some okra and pak choy because I can't get the imported spinach, and changing decisions like those, you know. You hear conversations that people talking about, it is so difficult. Fixed costs, people who have lifestyle diseases, diabetes, hypertension, kidneys. When you think of the cost of medications and so on, and you think, all right, what am I going to do? Because the government and their CDAP program, they're taking things off, or they're just not supplying things, you know? We had a small discussion in our WhatsApp group, and I made the point that we can't control those things, but the cost of things. But what we control is our income. Even though we are on fixed incomes, how many of us are flexible enough to start trading something, trading some skill? So I think for me, my flexibility is also a part of my anchoring. because I think if we don't, if we use the word anchor, and I'm saying this because I don't want people to think that you're rigidly into something, but I think success going forward in 2025, in the next 5 years, from 2025 to 2030, if we don't know how to adapt, and if we remain in fear, change, if we remain with a mindset that this is how I built and put myself out to the public and I can't change it because it will be too painful, I think we'll have very, very painful periods to go through. So I want to propose that in addition to our anchors, we have fine-tuned compasses that make us aware when the winds are changing and we have to adjust. What do you think?
Well, I'm taking it to a completely different direction. Using the same compass. So I am saying, and using your analogy with the ship and a compass. And I started by saying that I compartmental my life. I put my life into compartment. And I'm thinking if I have that, if I use in that compass, and I started with four pillars, I'm saying. And if you use in a compass, so I will say east, west, north, south, right? It's going, the wind could blow anywhere. The compass, it could take you to, we use any compass, it could take you to any direction. And for me, because I have it, the pillars, it makes it easier for me to focus and not get too overwhelmed. Because everything could be happening at the same time. You get sick, you don't have the money, and then you get sick, and then you can't eat, then you're losing faith, and you know.
Yeah.
So my thing is, you're using the compass. The awareness, we have to be aware. We are aware, and you said it. It's not just Trinidad. This is international. We deal and we are aware. You don't have to go to school to it is happening around us. You see, you're hearing it in the news. If you're just listening to the talk shows, whatever, you're now aware that because of what is happening, shipping costs going up, our port, so rising costs. Nothing to do with government. I'm not getting into the politics. I'm getting into basic. This is what is life. Economies of scale, economic base, these are the basics. So I'm saying that if we are aware, so we are aware prices will go up. We may not know exactly where and what commodities, but we know prices going up all wrong in everything. So the awareness first. So if we are aware that these things going to happen, we are listening, we are seeing. Many of us, we are looking at, you go to the drugstores to buy, you're buying some of us on medication. So every month you buy in the same thing. They say, they don't bring down this again. CDAP is not on the CDAP list. What is the alternative? You talk to, they find out the alternative. We cannot be shocked. We're going to be disappointed. Well, who to blame? We're not making it locally. So my thing would be, again, you're going back to, so this is what I'm looking at. This is what I expect. So when you go to the next, so this is north. This is east. This is, So when I go here, I know, wow, boy, what affecting that? I can't do that because of my income. Because all that going up, but my pension not going up, or my salary not going up, or the little money I get in from whatever and going up. Then I can't panic. What I have to do, again, we lay down, we talk about the anchor, and you spoke about flexibility. We must be flexible. So already part of my pillar, part of what making up that decision making, what helped me to be grounded is that I have to be flexible. And to be flexible, I have to face reality of my situation. I only have this amount of money. These are the sources it's coming from. I may have 3 sources, I may have 1. How do I strengthen that? So you talk about anchor. How do I strengthen that pillar? How do I, and I go back to what I said before of self-help, right? Self-help, self-sufficiency. What do I do here? I must take my medication, but under health, I have other things, right? What can I do? I may have to then, yes, eat differently, but why not? Because we're going back and you read up and you see now all these things that we refuse to eat. I myself will say, I grew up on that, I'm fed up. Let me try something different now. Now I go back to, so we are responsible for making the decisions that will help us. We cannot do anything about the shipping costs, about the CDAP, all these things. But what can we do? And that is where I go back to the self-help. What can I do without the blame game to make a difference? And when you give yourself, we spoke earlier, not on the show, but in just chatting, on giving up your power. We sometimes want other people to make the decision. We would be happy if the Minister of Health come and say, yeah, no, eat Karaili. We have checked on Karaili and it has X, Y, and Z. That could replace X or something like that. We want them to tell us what to do for our health. We know. We go to the doctor and they tell us. You understand? So we need to, as you say, take back our power, make decisions, be self-sufficient. That should be our go-to. And the go-to should not be looking at what others have or your pension not going up. It ain't going up. It ain't going up. Let's face it. Nothing, what going up is cost of things. But Terri Ann, if we focus on while doing that, you focus on other aspects of your life that going good, that have no cost to it, that could help you relax and deal with things and build back your faith in a life because you want to live. You ask yourself, do you want to live? What kind of life you want to live? And this is where I go into the different compartments, because if I sit back with all the troubles that you believe I may have, and I sit in a nice space that I enjoy and I start to think positive and send out positive thoughts, surround myself, as you say, with the positive energy, chat with the people who put me on that high. Listen to me, it will make a difference to how you feel, and I tell you that with health. It reduces your stress and it will help you deal. Next thing you know, I swear, I am telling you, I swear I'm in control of my pressure now. Every time I check it, it's good. And I believe it's because I home more and I'm finding things to relax myself because I stress myself knocking about and so we can do things, Terri Ann. Basically, we really have to, and I like your term, we have no right to be powerless.
Yep.
You know?
And the things that drive power. And I think if we are to, as we wind down today, if we are to describe ourselves, we may go along different paths in terms of dealing with life, but we are able to complement each other, collaborate, cooperate, and be great friends. Because first of all, we take responsibility for our lives and what is going on. And we also hold ourselves accountable for it. You know? So if one plan seems to be going off course, because we have the responsibility, we take corrective action. So that at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be consistent with the people that we are. And I think when people look at us and see whatever they see, the brave people or the whatever people, it's that we don't see situations in our lives that we are not happy with, or we won't tolerate for a very long time and don't act. And I think that's a fundamental difference, you know? And we hope that you understand too that Connections 50 Plus is an outcome of that perspective of acting in your power, acting in yourself. And there's room for everyone to do that. And it doesn't mean that if you don't know how to make the first step, that you can't be part of it. We're also a very collaborative and cooperative group. So that even if you are unsure, certainly come along to our events, come along to our programs and join us. You'll find your footing and move forward. What may be difficult is if you're one of the people who want someone to lift up your foot one at a time and move it for you. That's going to be tough. So hopefully people would have gotten to know us a little bit better now, Jennifer.
And you know, everybody, every single person have it in them, Terri Ann, to take charge, take responsibility and say, you know what, this is my life. This is what I want for my life. And I am willing to make that effort to make it worth my while. I can do it because we are all doing different things. You know, as you said, we are different. But guess what? We all want to enjoy life, but don't depend on others to do that for you. Yeah.
So next week, hopefully, cross fingers, we'll be starting our guest series. And we're going to bring some dynamic people who are going to now bring a professional context to all of this self-talk that we've been talking about. So have a great week. Focus, be accountable, be responsible, be brave, and be free. Go forward.
Call to be a guest on our show. Yeah.
Bye.
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.